Hey, good morning to you out there. It is Tuesday morning. I'm Gabe DeArmond. That means this is Tuesday Recruiting, brought to you by Brandon Barnes and USA Mortgage. Going to bring Sean Williams on here in just a couple of minutes, and we are going to talk Mizzou recruiting, mostly football, but hey, we got a couple basketball things that we can run through as well. If you're on the stream, if you're watching with us live, welcome, and hit the like button, comments, questions, whatever, over in the comment section, and we will get to them throughout the course of the next 25 or 30 minutes. Eli Drinkwitz coming up at noon, so I'm going to head over there, but want to get this in first, and want to thank Brandon Barnes for being a part of this show every week. Once upon a time, we could have talked about him on this show, but I'm not sure the technology existed when Brandon was going through the recruiting process. It's been a couple years, but now he is a mortgage banker here in Columbia, Missouri. But he'll work with you anywhere in the state. If you are in Kansas City, St. Joe, St. Louis, Sikeston, whatever, name another town anywhere in Missouri. Higbee, maybe you're from Higbee and you're building a new house or you want to refi, you get in touch with Brandon Barnes at 818-2772 or 590-0001. You go to showmemortgage.com and get a free quote. Brandon's going to give you great customer service and the best rates around. Anything you need for your mortgage, please at least give him the first shot. If you end up going somewhere else, you end up going somewhere else, but give Brandon a shot, and we don't think you will go somewhere else. And at least for the next 20, 25 minutes, Sean Williams not going anywhere else, just going to hang out here with me on YouTube. What's up, man?
Not much. I like the shout out to Higbee there. I'm sure they appreciate that.
I just I try to pick a random Missouri town every now and then. That one came to mind. So yeah,
There you go.
I think it exists. I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Better hope so.
Yeah, close enough. But all right.
All your credibility's out the window if it's not.
Hey, dude, my credibility. Whew, yeah, I think it went somewhere a couple months ago anyway. So. All right, we were talking before the show, like not the most active time in recruiting. Road game last weekend, SEMO this week. We don't expect like a huge, extensive visitor list for this weekend.
No.
I would imagine the coaches might get back out on the road this week. Haven't done a lot of asking around about that yet. But look, when in doubt, when you need something to talk about, just talk about Luther Bird. That's good for ratings. He tweeted at some point, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, he tweeted that there was going to be a top 3. We are expecting that is probably SEMO, Northern Iowa, and, the University of Massachusetts, something like that.
And no love for UConn. I mean, they really need help right now.
Yeah, maybe he could be the head coach now that Randy Edsall's out.
That's true. They do have coaching issues right there. Yeah, we don't. That I guess is when in doubt, like I said, it's slow. Maybe coaches are playing. Missouri's playing SEMO this week. Seems like it would be an opportune time for the coaches to kind of get out and see some of the local kids. And we don't expect Luther Burden to be in town for the SEMO game, but he does have the top 3 coming up. Adam Gorney, our national analyst, caught up with him. Obviously, East St. Louis had that big showdown with St. John's Bosco over the weekend. Big game, but it didn't really go East St. Louis's way. But he did kind of talk about recruiting. You couldn't shake any recruiting news out of him in your interview, Gabe, but Adam Gorney was able to get at least a couple of quotes from him, namely about Georgia and Missouri. So it seems like those 2 schools will definitely be in the top 3. The question is, who's going to be the third school? Is he going to give them a Oklahoma courtesy inclusion because he was committed there at one time, or is it going to be Alabama? Alabama's another school that we've heard kind of linked to him. So regardless, I think we're still kind of thinking this is the Georgia-Missouri battle.
Yeah, the third school will be most likely in third place. I mean, I know he's supposedly taking official visit to Florida. I guess it's not impossible Florida would be that third school, but we seem to think it's more Oklahoma or Bama, probably.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we can place bets now and see who loses later. But
the pick show is on Friday, so maybe we'll do it then.
Yeah, there you go. I know he said he's going to take an official to Georgia here pretty soon as well. So those are 2 schools to keep. Of course, Missouri. He's been here, a lot of times. He doesn't need to take an official to Missouri. So
But maybe he takes one after the season or something. It would be – I think Missouri fans will feel better if that Georgia visit happens and he does not come out of it committed. We don't expect him to, but just for it officially to come and go and there's no public commitment would probably make Missouri fans who I think should feel pretty good about this. But, Sean, when you follow recruiting, if there's no news for a little while, then a lot of people just tend to assume we must have lost him. Terrible news. He hasn't committed yet, and start thinking he's going somewhere else. So I think those people who maybe have taken that tack will feel a little bit better if he visits Georgia and doesn't, immediately come out and say, hey, I fell in love with Athens and I'm going to Georgia.
Yeah, because you look at places like Georgia, and obviously, look, Burden's like one of the top recruits in the nation. I mean, a place like Georgia will probably hold a place for him, but they're going to have other really good options as well. So, if you come out of a place like Georgia after your official visit, you don't, depending on, maybe you want to lock up a spot because somebody else might take it, even though you are a really good recruit, Georgia's got other good wide receiver options as well that they're kind of looking at as well. So, if you come out of that and you don't commit, I mean, that's obviously a good sign the longer this drags out, I think, for Missouri.
Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned the game at Bosco on Friday. I mean, East St. Louis fell way behind, made a nice comeback, but Burden scored 3 touchdowns. Eventually, just nobody's ever going to punt the ball to him again, I would assume, because he tends to end up in the end zone after he fields a punt. He seems to like to let it roll a few times and then pick it up on a hop and just immediately outrun everybody. But look, I mean, that program is, one of the top high school programs in the country, and Luther Burden was not out of place in that game by any means.
No. Like, I guess from an overall talent standpoint, St. John's Bosco showed that they had a lot of dudes that had major Power 5 offers. And look, hey, there's a bunch of dudes on that St. John Bosco team that has a lot of major Power 5 offers. We know of at least like a dozen of them. So, but yeah, Luther Burden definitely proved he belonged. I mean, even though it wasn't a great game for East St. Louis, but every time, like I said, 3 touchdowns. He's electric with the ball in his hands, made a couple of really great catches. Look, he's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the route running ability. He can burn you in special teams. I'm like you, Gabe. I don't know why people should not kick the ball to him. Just kick it 10 yards out of bounds. I mean, you're better off maybe stopping East St. Louis if you just kick it out of bounds for 10 yards and not get the ball in Luther Burden's hands at all.
Yeah. All right, so another Mizzou recruit, this one actually a commit, played again pretty well last weekend. Sam Horn, I saw the halftime numbers. He was like 15 of 17 for 290 yards or something at halftime. Ended up with a little bit more than that. His team took the foot off the gas a little bit, I think, in the second half. But a lot of excitement about the quarterback commitment coming in.
Yeah, Sam Horn, another good showing in a showcase game. Obviously we kind of talked about his performance against Brookwood in the Corky Co Classic, which is always, a very, very big game down in Georgia. I mean, they have a lot of games down in the Georgia Dome, so that the Collins Hills game was one of them. But they played a Rome team, and everybody thought Rome was really good and one of the best defenses in the state of Georgia. And Collins Hill won 34-0. And made things look pretty easy on offense. I mean, Horn finished with 25 of 29 passing for 344 yards and 3 touchdowns. So
not bad.
Another good performance. I know there was a couple people on our board kind of sweating a little bit because they played some team from Mississippi last week, and his numbers weren't the greatest. I think it was 9 of 18 for 58 yards. So really pedestrian numbers last week against a team we don't know a lot about from Mississippi. But, he kind of backs that up this past week with a really good performance against Rome, and a lot of people thought that Rome defense was really good. So, like I said, it doesn't hurt to have those skill sets. I mean, the accuracy and everything like that. He obviously, took off and ran, and he shows his running ability as well. And it doesn't hurt to have a guy like Travis Hunter to just throw the ball to as well.
Right. Well, and to be fair, I mean, the Rome defense wasn't built in a day. Maybe they'll be better next week. I'll show myself out. Yeah, that's it for this show. It can't get any worse than that. One guy, a little more somber note. somber might be the wrong word. He's alive. He's fine. But Isaac Thompson, injured. I don't know exactly what the injury was, but injured in SLU's game on Friday night. He tweeted, I think it was on Sunday, basically that, hey, his season's over after 2 games. So I don't know if you know any more about what that injury is exactly, but.
I don't. I just know it's maybe an apparent knee injury. I don't know what the extent of it is. I do know we had. I think maybe there was at least one of our subscribers was on the was at that game this past weekend and kind of made a note of that injury happening. So Isaac obviously confirmed that he's done for the season, which is pretty unfortunate. I know he was super excited about the season coming up. We caught up with him at the Jamboree, the scrimmage they had before their season officially started. About 3 weeks ago, and I know he was super excited about the season. Had put up some pretty good numbers in his first game, and it really stinks too because you consider last year they didn't get to play a lot of games.
Right.
Well, he didn't get to play a lot of them either because he was out because of COVID. I think he only got to play 1 game last year, so you really kind of put yourself in his shoes, and he only got to play 3 games this past 2 years. So it's really an unfortunate situation for him, but. Look, he's a really upbeat kid. He's really positive, always got a smile on his face. So I'm sure he's going to shake this off, get better, and I'm sure he'll be excited to get his career started at Missouri.
Yeah, and if you're Missouri, look, I mean, obviously you don't want the kid hurt. You wish he was healthy. But if it's going to happen, I mean, hey, it's week 2. You let the swelling go down. You go get surgery in a couple weeks. Theoretically, there's no reason you shouldn't be ready to go for fall camp. I mean, he obviously, I'm not sure if he's going to enroll early, but wouldn't likely go through spring football. But by early summer, ought to be able to be doing things, and by fall camp could be full speed. So, a knee injury is not the catastrophic thing it was, 15, 20 years ago. People overcome that all the time. So, again, not that it's a positive, but if it was going to happen from a Missouri standpoint, I guess, at least it happened to where you wouldn't think it should have much of an impact on his senior year. Or, I'm sorry, his freshman year.
Right, yeah. I mean, obviously we talked about how much it stinks for the high school career, but just in terms of his Missouri career, look, it's good timing. He can, like I said, he can let the swelling go down, get the surgery he needs, has plenty of time to recover to be ready to go in fall camp and be a full go. So, timing's good, but just unfortunately the high school season just didn't didn't play out the way he wanted to, I'm sure.
Yeah, no question. We're going to talk a couple of basketball things here in a minute and then get back and finish up with a little bit of football. But once again, want to draw your attention to the picture on the screen, not mine. The other one is Brandon Barnes, mortgage broker here. He is located in Columbia, but he can help you all over the state of Missouri. Refi, you're building a new house, you're buying a new house, whatever it might be. Give Brandon Barnes at USA Mortgage the first shot. You see his email address, the website address, 2 phone numbers right there. When we go back and bring Sean back on the screen, it'll move up on the upper left corner of your screen. It's on the screen the entire show. Brandon is going to provide great customer service. He's going to give you the lowest rates. He will work with you to basically take care of anything you need, and sometimes he'll break down linebacker play with you on the Tigers lair. Sometimes he'll come on and tell you what he's seeing when Chris Rodriguez runs for 207 yards against Missouri. So that's a thing. Do want to and like we want to be clear, Sean's major focus with us is football, but Stryker is asking about Aiden Shaw, who is a top 60, I believe, basketball recruit, plays with Mocan out of Kansas City. He is announcing a commitment on Friday. He's down to 3 schools. I believe those to be Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma State, although I'm not sure he's ever officially put out a top 3. I would say cautious optimism for Missouri fans here. Things look pretty good. Nobody has told us this is where Aiden Shaw is going. We have not put in future casts, which generally we try to do only when we're very confident of something happening because, Sean, I don't know about you, but I tend to introduce myself with my future cast percentage. Hey, Gabe DeArmond, Power Mizzou, 98.6% on the future cast.
Yeah, we're all worried about the accuracy.
A lot of street
percentage on those future casts. That's why we put them in right before like the kid commits, like 5 minutes before. So
yeah, none of it's about getting clicks or building hype or anything. It's all about internet credibility for us.
Right. We gotta improve our street cred somehow. I mean, So that's the best way for us to do it is to do the future casts and get them accurate as possible. And usually that goes. Usually we put those in about 5 minutes before a kid announces. So.
Right.
No, but I guess it's a good thing that there's no future cast for Aiden Shaw. I mean, it seems like it's pretty wide open, and people don't exactly know where he's going. Which look, these basketball recruits, they can be a little bit more incognito with their recruiting process than football players are. Just because. There's I guess a little bit of a tighter circle around them, and they tend to be a little bit more tight-lipped with their recruiting process all around.
And there's really only, I mean, if you're talking 66 Power 5 schools, realistically, there's probably 200, 250 Power 5 kids in the country. In football, there's 1,500. Something like that. So it's a little bit more, certainly. But again, we feel relatively optimistic on Aiden Shaw. I think, the Kansas offer, I don't know 100% if that is still on the table for Friday. I know he has a good relationship with Conzo Martin. He has been down here a lot. I believe his sister is being recruited maybe by Robin Pinchton. So, definitely some good indications that Aiden Shaw could pick Missouri on Friday, but we don't know that for sure until Friday. We don't even know what time or how he's announcing quite yet, which generally means he's picking Missouri, because the less you know about a kid's recruitment, the more likely it seems to be that Conzo Martin is the guy that's getting him locked up. So
not a lot of pomp and circumstance with the Missouri pick.
Right, yeah, it doesn't seem to be. So here's kind of an interesting question, and Sean, we've talked a lot about this after the first two games. Like, hey, y'all got pretty hyped up about the recruiting, and that's cool, but that doesn't help this year's team that much, right? And Kyle wants to know, how fast does recruiting fix the defense, and do you think they put more of an emphasis on the transfer portal? I mean, they signed, like 6 or 7 defensive linemen last year, isn't that right?
Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but that sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean Kyron Montgomery, Mekhi Wingo, Arden Walker, Travion Ford. I know I'm missing one or two, but I think it was 6 or 7. So those guys, Wingo is playing this year, which frankly surprises me, but beyond Arden Walker's played a few snaps. They also signed 2 JUCOs in Realus George and Daniel Robledo. Realus George has played.
Right.
I think it's got to be a little disappointing that Missouri is this bad against the run, and Daniel Robledo somehow has not seen the field in 2 games. He was here in spring football. He was a JUCO guy. He was clearly brought in to play, and he's not playing. So we're not writing him off, but that's got to be a little bit of a disappointment at this time.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if you're disappointed with the crop of people you brought in and just how much they haven't really played yet, I think it may be a situation where if, they do want to make a little bit of a splash, you got to look at the transfer portal in that option. I mean, I think with this year's class, in terms of high school kids, we're talking like Missouri is probably going to add one more D lineman, whoever that ends up being, whether that's Dominic Orange, DJ Welzelek, we don't know that yet. But, I think if you want to make a splash and make an immediate splash, definitely want to go with the transfer portal there.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Jalen Marshall and Marquise Gracial right now on the D-line, and obviously a little bit depends on Gracial keeping that commitment. I'm not sure they go transfer portal at defensive line as much as linebacker, where, look, Blaze Aldridge came in this year, and so far what we know is he's not Nick Bolton, which isn't a surprise, honestly. We also know Devin Nicholson playing next to Blaze Aldridge is not quite Devin Nicholson playing next to Nick Bolton. Chad Bailey got, I think, 17 snaps against Kentucky. Jamie Petway hasn't seen the field. I wonder if we might see Zach Lovett or Damian Wilson this weekend against SEMO. They've already got a transfer coming in, Chuck Hicks from Wyoming, but they only play 2 linebackers at a time, but also that position, man, it's not very good on the field right now, and you wonder if they might need to add another transfer in the portal for next year's class. But some of that may depend on how they feel about Lovett and Wilson.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the one name you kind of bring up, Chad Bailey, something that's a guy that I think we thought we'd see a lot more of by this time in his career, and we just haven't seen a lot of it so far. So yeah, you bring up a good point. It seems to be a little bit more of a disappointing efforts on the linebacker position than defensive line. But look, defensive line, you've got some issues there as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a fight all week. Is it the defensive line or is it the linebackers? Well, you're the worst Power 5 defense in the country. Like, that's not an exaggeration. Legitimately the worst. I'm going to guess probably there's some blame to go around. Like, I don't think we have to lay it all on one position.
No, I think you've got plenty of ways to point the finger here. Yeah. So yeah,
when you're sitting 126th in the country in run defense, it's not like you're going, well, man, if that guy was just better, we'd be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just one guy. It's going to be multiple guys at multiple positions that need to get better throughout the season. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, and look, especially on defense, like, I think they're playing a lot of guys that came back for another year, but aren't really – like Blaze Aldridge isn't going to be here next year. Chris Turner's not going to be here. Akil Byers not going to be here. Kobe Whiteside not going to be here. In the secondary, Caleb Evans and Allie Green aren't going to be here. So I think right now where they're at is, hey, we play these guys. We get these younger guys maybe up to 4 games experience. Keep the red shirt on them. But, like, why throw Arden Walker or Damian Wilson out there a ton and burn a year? Because it's not like they're going to take them from awful defense to really good, right? Just get them a little experience, and then next year you're kind of hitting the reset button, and these guys have all had a year in the system and a year in a college weight room.
Yeah, that's a good game plan. Just kind of, like I said, give the younger guys those 4-game experience, keep the red shirts, bring in a couple transfers to go along with those young guys if you need to. I know in terms of linebackers, in this year's class, you've got Xavier Simmons so far. Yeah. They might add another linebacker from the high school ranks. Not sure if that's going to happen. I know they're evaluating a few of those guys, but not a for sure thing that'll happen. So, I mean, there's definitely possibilities they could bring in a transfer or two for the linebacker spots coming in this year's class.
Yeah, and one name, kid that we should have mentioned earlier, they did go and see James Pierce last Friday night. He was a kid that took an official visit, I think, in June. And we have never, like, we know he exists. We think he exists. We have no proof in actually having talked to him, but kind of word on the street is Missouri and South Carolina are probably the leaders for him. But honestly, after his official visit and after Simmons committed, his name just kind of slipped off my radar.
Yeah, we tried to get in touch with him. He's going back to the basketball recruit reference. He's almost like one of those guys. He's very tight-lipped, close to the vest, doesn't do interviews. So it's really hard to get a read on him. And like you said, we kind of, when Simmons committed, we thought maybe they're done, but apparently they're still showing a lot of interest in Pierce. And he's a guy that's already familiar with Missouri, so that's a good thing because he took an official during the summer. So we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, getting anything from his side or his camp side, that's a tough one to crack right there.
Yeah. All right, Sean, you got any travel plans this weekend or what's happening?
I do not actually this weekend. Okay. So perfect. I didn't hear back from Rome's AD last week, so I did not go down to watch Sam Horn's game. I didn't want to risk driving 4.5 hours and not being able to cover a game.
Right.
So I opted not to cover that one. I wish I would have because it looked like it would have been a nice one to get highlights from. But hey, that just is what happens. So
that's how it goes.
Hopefully I'll get to like I said. Hopefully I'll get to one of Jamari and Wayne's games this year. That's kind of the game plan. He's a guy that we kind of mentioned last week as a guy that's really under the radar. We don't talk about him enough. He does so many things for his team. So he put up a lot of good stats this week. Receiving, rushing. I think he threw a pass, completed a pass. He had 3 interceptions. Perfect. Now, they were playing a very bad team, but, hey, that just goes to show you what kind of athlete he is. So.
Yep. All right, Sean, appreciate it, man. I know you got stuff to do. So do I, so we're going to let you run, and we'll check in next week, man.
All right, see you, man.
All right, Sean Williams helping us out there, PowerMizzou.com recruiting editor. And speaking of guys that do everything for their team, Brandon Barnes, I believe he came to Missouri as a wide receiver recruit. Then he moved to safety. Then he moved to linebacker. He's now very versatile in the mortgage game. You give him a call, 573-818-2772, or on his cell at 573-590-0001. Brandon is located in Columbia, but he can help you from anywhere in the state of Missouri. Maybe you're from Oregon, Missouri, and you're looking to move to the big city and you want to get down to Maryville or St. Joe. Brandon can help you out with the best rates in town, the best customer service in the state. Make sure to give him a chance. Go apply online, get a free quote at showmemortgage.com. Appreciate Brandon bringing you guys this recruiting show every single Tuesday. I am now off to talk to Eli Drinkwitz, and later on today to Steve Wilkes. Mitchell Forty will join me tomorrow for the 573 report. We got streaming all week long coverage leading up to Mizzou and SEMO this weekend. So thanks for checking in, guys, and we'll see you next time.